Hey guys, this is Austin. This is probably not something you're used to seeing on the channel, but today I'm going to find out, is a pre-built $750 gaming PC worth it? Ooh, all the fun stuff already. We get a CyberPower PC gaming mouse. We also get the multimedia gaming keyboard. It actually doesn't look bad. We'll see what the switches are like, but all right, we get some decent accessories. So this is the CyberPower computer itself. So what drew me to this was actually the fact that it's a pretty decent looking system for $750. So as you guys probably know, I do a lot of custom gaming PC builds myself. And usually the big problem with these pre-built systems is that they're really just not very good for the price. So sure, you might have something like a Core i7 and a ton of memory, but then you'll have like an $80 graphics card. But with this, it actually looks like a pretty reasonable build. Proudly assembled and supported in the US. So one of the things that actually is cool about buying a pre-built system is that it actually does come with a warranty. So sure, when you build it yourself, you're still able to, warranty a specific part or something, but it's kind of nice that not only are you not building it, but you actually do get some perks with the actual system. So this is actually a pretty nice looking case. So we have an actual glass side panel, which looks very dangerously, easily breakable. All right. That's actually pretty good packing, I gotta say. It always makes me really nervous anytime I try to ship a computer because it's so easy for something like this to just break. Inside this guy, it's rocking an AMD Ryzen 5 1400 processor as well as a Radeon RX 580. That's really not that bad. If I was building a system around $750, I would probably use pretty similar components. Now it's not perfect. So for example, that 580 only has 4 gigabytes of memory instead of 8 gigs, which will hurt it for higher resolutions. And speaking of memory, this guy only has 8 gigs of RAM. Now for a system like this, that's actually totally fine, and it's actually easy enough to just throw in 16 or even 32 gigs if you want more later, but it's definitely not a completely over-the-top system. So the cable management is actually really nice here. We have a solid Asus B350 motherboard, and then we also have a pair of 120mm fans on intake as well as exhaust, and an LED strip for the super RGB lighting. Once you turn on the system, there's actually a button to be able to cycle through the different colors of the LEDs. It's not a huge deal, but it's actually fairly tastefully done. It also changes the color of the power button as well as this little strip underneath. If you're into RGBs, I guess. Around back, you'll see that cable management is also decent. It's pretty clean back here, and they're using a pretty solid EVGA 450 watt bronze power supply. I've actually used this in a couple builds. I like it a lot, especially for the price. And tucked back here is a 1TB Toshiba hard drive. That's actually probably the biggest weak link here. Not that that's a bad hard drive, but at this kind of price, I actually would like to see an SSD. Thankfully, that's something you can add pretty easily with the 2 included SSD brackets, but that still means you're gonna have to reinstall Windows. It's gonna be a little bit of a pain in the ass. Can I say ass? So I like all the stickers on the back, includes this one. CyberPower PC, assembled from tested components, complete system, not tested. That sure fills you with confidence, doesn't it? For $750, the hardware isn't bad. What I'm curious about is how it actually performs. While GTA 5 might not be the newest game out, it still can be reasonably demanding. And here on 1080p at high settings, we're seeing that the frame rate generally bottoms out around 50 or so. And you can see with the flying stuff, we're actually well above 70. However, the bigger problem that I'm noticing as I game with the CyberPower PC is noise. It's actually really loud. I think most of that is because the case fans seem to be spinning a lot faster than they actually need to, but that is something that you could fix. Unfortunately, it's just really loud out of the box though. Next, we have Battlegrounds. So this is a Steam early access game, so it's definitely not as well optimized as it could be, but even here we're able to play on 1080p at high settings, and we're getting decent frame rates. So here with a fairly empty spot, we're in the 50s, but when you get into a little bit more action, you're dipping a little bit closer to 30. But it's totally playable. Taking a look at another new game, we have Prey, and this is something else that runs really well. So this is 1080p with very high settings, and we're actually getting 60 frames on kind of like the lower end, but kind of get into a little bit of a quieter area. It actually can go above 100. So yes, this is not the most powerful system in the world, but for 1080p gaming, it's more than good enough. And even if you want, nope, wrong way. For higher resolutions than 1080, is he behind me? Okay, I'm gonna keep running. For higher resolutions than 1080, you actually can play, and it is technically VR ready as well, so if you have an Oculus, that'll work too, but I'm just gonna hide over here. Interestingly, the value is actually kind of on this side too. So for $750, you're getting that Ryzen 5 processor and RX 580, but you're also getting a pretty nice Phanteks case, RGB lighting, an AC Wi-Fi card, Windows 10 installed, as well as a mouse and keyboard. They might not be the best, but considering that you get all of this for $750, it's not bad. If you tried to build this yourself with the same parts, you're actually going to end up paying $3 more. And that's not including a warranty, the mouse, keyboard, or that super fancy RGB lighting. This actually isn't a bad deal. So, is this $750 pre-built gaming PC worth it? Yeah. Now, if this was my system, I would upgrade it with an SSD and some quieter case fans, but beyond that, this is actually a pretty solid value. So, what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below, and I will catch you on the next one.